Hey everyone, welcome to today's mud season vlog. Currently 27 degrees outside, lots of potholes starting, lots of mud. This morning I woke up to about 1 inch of snow on the truck. It's already melted off just about. In the roads it mostly melted off. It doesn't have to be above freezing this time of year. The sun is strong enough it'll melt things even in the day. Sometimes this mud is just as slippery as ice. There's a few areas I had to use four-wheel drive. I'm currently not using it because it eats more gas. But if you see me go through a big bump and you hear a scuffing noise, the wheel wells are full of frozen mud because the undercarriage is still below freezing. That's in the shade. As I flip up mud and water, it's freezing. The whole undercarriage is little icicles. It looks kind of cool. But there are some abrupt bumps. There's frost heaves. This area, I don't believe they're logging right now. Actually, they're not logging anywhere. They suspended it for the moment because of the mud. I think they'll start back up in a day or two because we have some very, very cold nights, making it down to almost single digits. So that should get them logging again for a little bit. Gotta be careful around these corners. This is very slippery mud. The ground is still frozen slightly underneath. That's why it's not turning even worse. Not yet. Lots of water crossing the road today in certain areas. Culvert pipes are still plugged, frozen shut. Yeah, the areas where they were logging earlier in the week, there's logs everywhere because when the truck goes over these bumps, they lose logs sometimes. They fall off. So we were seeing a lot of those. I don't think they're doing this road. We don't see any. Area is actually a little bit smooth. The issue is that I start moving fast, then out of nowhere there's a hole or a frost heave and I gotta hit the brakes real hard, or slippery mud, gotta slow down around the corners. Been out here all day. Started moving at 9 in the morning. It's now 2 in the afternoon. Have not passed a single other vehicle yet. Not many people out here this time of year. It's not hunting season. Snowmobile season has ended. Most of the roads are open again. They're muddy. I wouldn't take most of them, but it's not good enough for a snowmobile. The snow is getting too patchy. Getting a bit muddy here. Tourist season doesn't start until around June, when you'll have campers starting to come out here. And even them, there's not many of them. Not many people come out this far into the woods. This time of year you got to be aware of the hazards of frost heaves, because frost heaves can be melting underneath a dry road. You wouldn't even know it's down there, and as it starts melting, it's like a quicksand pit covered with dry soil, so you can just sink into it out of nowhere. It's unlikely on these roads. It is likely if I turn off of the main artery onto a clear road that wasn't plowed, because they plow this road. They push all the snow over, it melts into the drainage ditch. Roads that had multiple feet of snowpack that melted into the road, it is absolutely soaked, that soil, and you're gonna have issues underground you can't see, at least until maybe another month or so, because you have a few feet of soil on the road that is thawed. Then you have a frozen layer deep under there preventing that water from draining, and that's where you get stuck in. Once it's able to drain, once it completely melts through the 4+ feet of frost, it'll drain. It is the end of March 2025 and mud season. Sometimes you just have it in March and April. Sometimes it'll get extended into May. Depends how much rain, how cold it might get again. It can snow through May historically. We had a deep freeze last winter, May 26th. That's why you're not supposed to plant anything in your garden until June 1st. It could get destroyed. I took the risk back in 2023. Planted my garden the first week of May. It lived. No issues. I think we had a minor frost. I just put bed sheets over certain plants. It turned the hosta plants black. But they bounced back. Couldn't even see the damage a few days later. Saw a moose today. A small one. In the middle of the road, it ran away. Here's an area where water was crossing. Earlier this week, we had 3 days in the mid-60s. It was beautiful weather. Lost almost all the snowpack. This area we're currently in at some point during the winter had 5 feet of snowpack. My area had about 3. My area now has nothing. This area has about a little less than a foot left. Well, we lost a lot of it in just a couple of days, but it didn't really cause much flooding. It actually got out of here gradually over the 3 days. There was no rain or anything combined. No flooding. There's actually a lot better conditions than I would have imagined out here. Very little road damage this year. Yes, it could snow again. Yeah, the ground is still frozen. It's going to keep continuously freezing, defrosting every night for the next month or two. So yes, it is possible for the ground to deep freeze again. Massive rainstorm, flood everywhere. Yeah, we're not out of the woods yet. It's possible it'll happen again. It's much less likely it'll be horrible floods now that most of the snow's gone. Yeah, this is actually the best season so far I've ever been out on the logging roads as far as damage. It could happen in the next month, but I think oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought. There's another one, frost heaving. Boom, boom. Another one. That one's actually maybe a culvert pipe that wasn't compacted correctly. Oh. We had a double sinkhole right there. What happens is the frost will shove a giant rock underground up through the road. It erodes all the soil that was under that rock, replacing it with ice. The rock will sink back down into place, deeper than it originally was, leaving a big hole. We haven't seen many of those today. We've seen a lot of cracking in the road, though, from shifting. But that, we haven't encountered many of them yet. And we're not even really marking them, because if you're on this horrible road, you should already be aware of these hazards. There's enough of them at the entrances of the roads that are marked that you should be already aware of this. Or if you aren't aware of it, you shouldn't be out here. But all considering, for mud season, I'm able to keep pretty good speed on most of these roads. We're going 40 right now. Speed limit on this road is 45. We're not going to push it any further because it's not in the best shape, and the conditions rapidly change around every corner. And I can't do anything about that clicking sound either. Most people say it doesn't bother them, but it personally bothers me. I guess I'm a perfectionist when it comes to videos. It's a little better since I have a bottle underneath it, preventing it from moving as much. Here we had a culvert. That one had something wrong with it. It was flagged. I think we may actually be out here slightly too early. We'll try again in a week or two. Ooh, we had a grouse bird over there in the water. Here's some more frost heave cracking. Here's a few culvert pipes that have been issues in the past, but I don't see any evidence of it going over the road. They're at capacity. I don't think they're clogged. I'm surprised it didn't go over. If it did go over, it didn't really cause any damage. They have two 18-inch pipes there. A little bit undersized, but it's handling at the moment. And I don't think they're blocked at all, because I see before the body of water over the pipes froze, there's big piles of frozen foam that was circling in a whirlpool that froze, and that's how I know the pipe is probably open all the way without even having to break the ice. There's another pipe. Never seen an issue at this one. More frost heave cracking. Kills gas mileage is when you're going a good pace, slam the brakes on, then you gotta speed up again, slam the brakes on, speed up again. That eats gas. This morning I was on a better section of road getting about 18 mpg, which is great for the logging roads. Now we're getting about 13, and it's because I gotta keep stopping so often, either to flag things or just avoid all the holes. It's not good for a truck to be turning it on and off every time you get out and flag. So if I'm out of the vehicle for less than 5 minutes, we just keep the engine running. It's better for the engine just to keep it running, better for the starter, all that stuff. So if you're noticing those cracks that keep coming and going, that's going straight down the road. Sometimes they'll go across. Going across is more common on the paved roads. It's usually more common on the dirt roads too, but this time around we're having a lot of cracks just running along the middle. What happens is the surface of the road freezes, then it continues freezing down, and when it freezes down underneath there, the ice expands as it freezes, and it has nowhere to go but up, and it just splits the road open like an earthquake. It's like, it looks like an earthquake line. You'll see another one. Oh, here we go already. See it? That big crack right down the road follows the road perfectly. And I don't know, but do big vehicles help that open up like that? Because we're pushing down on the edges, and it's leaving the middle a place to split. It might be. Before the road freezes super thick, vehicles might contribute to that stress point. I'm not sure though. The cracks don't always follow the center, but they usually do. I'm hoping the log trucks are active again tomorrow. Be cool to see them. They usually stop operations for a little bit. Big frost heave. They stop operations usually when it's muddy. Oh, you hear that? That's ice in my wheel wells. As we drive through the mud, it's spraying up and freezing. I've seen certain people's videos of the log trucks from these exact woods. They'll be filming them, and the truck drivers driving as fast as possible through like a foot of mud with 100,000 plus pounds of logs. It's so cool. Those big overloaded trailers. Ooh, boom! As I drive, the clearance in the wheel well is being greatly reduced. So every time I hit a bump, the wheel goes up and it smashes ice and snow, mud out of the way. It's not really causing any damage. At the beginning of the day, I kept getting out and smashing it out of the way. but it just reoccurs so fast. I can't keep stopping for that. And this isn't the first year I've dealt with this, and it's never caused me damage on any vehicle I've driven. It just sounds very unpleasant. See that? You can hear it every time I go over a bump. I'm going to be quiet on another bump when it comes up so maybe you can hear it a little better. It seems to happen more in the back right now. Truck lost a log there. I used to go down that road right there. I hate roads like this. You cannot see what's over it. Hopefully someone else in the other direction would also be going slow. That's my hope. I'm actually going to turn right. It's just a little loop back to that road I just showed. I'm just curious if it's passable. It was in bad shape years ago, but I was also driving my old car, which was small. So maybe we could clear this road. If it looks like a mud hole, I'm not going to go down it. I'm not going to take that risk right now, getting stuck. No way. But, ooh. Oh, you hear the snow now? Somebody was having fun down here. Look at that. I think it's frozen a little bit underneath. So we're going to click into four-wheel drive. Let's see, how do we feel about this? Yeah, I'm not in the mood to use my winch a whole bunch of times. Especially facing in this direction. I'm gonna go around back. And if it looks better, maybe we'll just blast through this road in the other direction. The mud's not the worst of the worst. I'm turning the wheels, you can hear ice. It's not the worst of the worst. Driving through mud is quite fun, but if I have to winch myself, I'd rather be facing out. Because if I use the winch, I'm just gonna be digging myself deeper and deeper in there. I don't wanna do that. So we're gonna go back around. It's just a little loop. I remember years ago it was cool when the log trucks were using it. They had a whole bunch of logs laid down in the road so they could get traction. Just wonder how bad this has got, because I haven't been down here in a while. So, here it is. They build these roads like highway ramps so the trucks can get in and out. Ooh. We're breaking a lot of ice. It sounds like we're causing damage, but we're not, because every time I get out, not really. Okay, here's the logs I was talking about. It's gonna be like running over railroad ties. So far, okay. Keeping in four-wheel drive, keeping my eye in the mirror, keeping an eye on how deep I'm actually sinking. I do feel a loss of traction. How does it look? Look at all the logs. Doesn't look so bad. It actually looks better than it did years ago. Look at all these logs we gotta run over. Boom, 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 boom. We're gonna just slow it down. Ooh, and there's a tire cutter in there. There's a metal culvert that's not in great shape. Keep it nice and easy. I think if we were out here in a couple weeks, this would even be worse. I think the ground is still frozen under the mud, and I think that's what's preventing me from absolutely sinking severely bad. Boom, 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 boom. Whoa! That was a bad one. That was a bad hole right there. Okay, we cleared it. Now how bad's this mud gonna get? Checking in the rear view. We're sinking a little bit. Someone else recently went through here having fun. But how long ago? The snowbank gives me hope and fear at the same time. That means this area is more waterlogged, but hopefully more frozen. Okay, we're barely sinking. I'm gonna gun it if I can see the main road again. This is what I was talking about. See how the road looks dry? It's actually slightly worse right here. It's also a little slippery, so speed might not be the thing to do here. No, 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 no. Yeah, I'm gonna turn around. Look what we got up there. Somebody sunk down like 2 feet up there. Look at it. Can you see that up there? That could be frozen. I don't think I want to do that. Absolutely not. And that actually looks like they were using this road for logging over the winter when it was frozen. That almost looks like a semi-truck backed in there. Yeah, those are double tires. Or maybe pulled in straight. Because look, you got the steers going forward a bit. And you see where the double tire marks up here end? Yeah, semi-truck. You see the steers? And then you got the double tires like 20 feet behind. Yeah, that was a tractor trailer that messed up the road there. We're gonna turn around now. I'm not gonna play a stupid game here right now. Just wanted to know how this road was. Give it a month. When mud season's completely over, this will be solid again. But I know there's nothing down here exciting, so let's just get out of this mud again real quick. I'm not worried about anything that I just drove through. Oh, but we're gonna take home 100 pounds of mud with us stuck to the undercarriage. Watch it. Yeah, this is still slightly frozen, which is helping us. We're sinking deep right here, though. We got active groundwater. Now we gotta go slow again. Yep, I think that was the big hole from before. Another abrupt one. Could this be the one from before? No. Yeah, I'm pretty confident a log truck is what made those ruts up there. Most of those log trucks are 6x6. They don't get stuck easily. And if they do, a log skid or a bulldozer will just come out and help them, whoever's working at the log site. We're bogging down a lot right here. A whole ton of bogging down. moment. I don't think anyone's working here. Yeah, we've got thick mud all over the truck. Whole truck looks a different color now. So we have a little stream here coming through this culvert pipe, and it's kind of soaking through here. Will we find another one? I kind of want to walk down here a little ways. So this is the log truck. The traction tires. They all use basically that same tread pattern. And look at the shale rock somebody drove through. Stuff is so sharp. It's the stuff that they make slate roofing out of. It's great for rock skipping. Okay. We must have another culvert down here. I still see some good logs that they're gonna come pick up. Ooh. Look at that. The more you move around, the deeper you sink. It's like wet concrete. Look at that. I made a good choice not coming down here. Okay, here's the culvert. That wood smells so good. Got a willow tree growing out of it. They love water. You can see it. Also compaction issue. Truck coming through here. I think we did make the good choice. See the scuff marks? Even the tractor trailer was bottomed out here. I think they probably got stuck, unless they were under speed. Maybe had to get pushed by heavy equipment. I wasn't far off. This is the pile we were seeing. We were right there. Maybe I could have made it over here on the shoulder. It feels a bit frozen. Don't take stupid risks out here in the middle of nowhere. We haven't seen a vehicle pass us literally all day. It's the weekend, no one's working out here. It's still cold out. We're probably 2-3 hours away from the nearest cell phone signal. Even my CB radio, no one's gonna hear me out here because no one's around. There are plenty of trees. I would be able to get myself out with the winch, but I don't want to waste all afternoon doing that. We are 9 miles away from hitting 70,000 miles. Another frost heave. Another frost heave. Got all the water running down the road too. I can see that there's logs underneath this top layer of soil. This must have been a muddy area at some point also. Use all the garbage trees in the road is what they do. Bury them in the road, all the trees that they don't want when they log. That road we just passed on the left, I went down there last spring. Got stuck twice in the mud. And I had to pull myself deeper down the road because I was facing deeper down the road. But I didn't get stuck on the way out. I just blasted through it real fast. Oh, more wood in the road. I see this area, how they left a bunch of tall trees standing. Those might even be old growth. But the reason they left them standing is because they harvested the balsam fir. That's where you see the little teeny trees growing back, because they planted them when they were done. Balsam fir is pulpwood paper. The ones they left standing are white pine. That's going to be cut down eventually for lumber. Now look at this flood here. Is the river flooding? Or is this just bad drainage? About to go across a river. It's blasting pretty good, but I don't believe this is contributing to the flooding at all. Let me show you out the window. If it was summer, this would be an awesome river to go tubing down. Much too cold now, but come here during a rainstorm in the summer when it's blasting. This would be so much fun to go tubing. Perfect conditions, not too dangerous, not too steep, but pretty fun. There's signs here saying unauthorized launch site. They don't want people like launching a tube or a kayak or a canoe in there. It's because it's around a sharp corner. You're creating a hazard if you're blocking that road when they're logging. But I'd say you probably have no problem if you parked at that little dead end road and walked yourself down there, as long as you're not blocking the road in any way there. I'm not sure where that river goes. I'm not sure where you'd even get out. This spot here looks familiar. I think I stopped here once and had to unbolt a shock absorber that had, it didn't break, but its mounting back bracket broke and it was grinding against my tire, so I had to unbolt part of it. The other half of it I couldn't get off, so it was just kind of strung up with a bungee cord until I got home. Yeah, the sun angle's starting to get stronger. This morning I was freezing when I woke up. Hands were numb just walking outside, but now the sun's starting to get strong. It's now 30 degrees out, -1 Celsius. The car's kind of turning into a greenhouse. I don't have the air conditioning on, but I have cold air blowing in. It's getting warmer out. Another frost heave. Oh, squirrels. One was gonna chase the other. Nope, that one turned around. Frost heave. It's getting muddier around here because there's more sunshine. And another frozen culvert. Look at this. Ooh. And we have sinkholes. Look at that. A sinkhole opening up there. I would like to mark this one actually. Put the strobe lights on. There's no one coming, but just in case. Well, I'm not opening my back door, so I gotta reach back. I want a different color tape for this job. I can't open my back door, all the mud spraying up, it froze. I can't open my back door. I've seen these issues before. This is rapidly gonna get worse. You see where I just put the ribbon slanted at an angle? Where that's pointing down to, you can see the road sinking. Right around there, the road's sinking. Over here, I was able to jam that stick in the ground way too easy. That's like one of these quicksand pits. It's gonna get worse and worse. Eventually, this is gonna connect. There's a whole gigantic sinkhole opening up that we're gonna quickly run over and get out of here. Eventually, someone's gonna fall into this and get stuck. It's getting worse rapidly. Big frost heave here. Back in the fall, this road didn't have any of these dips and bumps. This is all ice underground lifting up. This is all new terrain to me. I haven't been on this road nearly half a year. Good, we're still in four-wheel drive because this is getting a little slippery, but I think we can shut it off now that it looks like it's clearing up. Shut it off. There we go. And handling, I could feel it. It's slightly worse without the four-wheel drive. Passing through now a logging camp. They got a surplus of plastic culverts over there, excavator and grader, all ready to fix the road whenever the mud clears up. Another culvert with a stream here. I guess there's no opening my back doors until maybe tomorrow. It's supposed to get around freezing. Maybe the mud will fall off. Have to chisel open the back door at some point. Another big frost heave. Ooh, a hole from water crossing. These roads are in pretty bad shape. But we've done all we can in this area today. It's slightly too early in the year to go down all the offshoots. But I know an area we're going to do tomorrow. And I'm hoping the gate is still open. There's an area that they closed the gate for mud season. And then they reopen it in June. I hope they didn't shut it yet. Beaver swamps coming up. Getting kind of tired already. Already 6 hours of these horrible roads today. Getting out and marking things. I'll go until sundown. About 4 more hours. This section of the road is surprisingly nicer. Got a little bit of ditch work that needs to be done here. Look at that, the water's being diverted into the tire rut. That's not good for mud season. The drainage ditch is doing nothing. It's all right here in the middle of the lane. I also got an urge to go down that road, but maybe another day. That road has numerous issues every year also. This area, they built the whole road up. They don't truck in good gravel, they use whatever they have, so this is all shale rock with a little bit of soil over the top of it to make it smooth. I've never had a flat tire out here from road hazards. It's somehow always been a nail, even when I get a flat out here. But I do hear all the time that people with regular car tires. If they come out here to go camping, they get flats pretty often because regular tires are meant to give you a smooth ride on the pavement. The kind of tires I'm running, I believe, are 12 or 14 ply. What that means is they're very thick, hard tires. If you bang on them, they feel like a heavy equipment tire. They don't give a very good ride. I'm relying a lot more on the suspension than the tire. But I've never got a puncture with these, not even from a nail. I haven't had a flat tire in literal years now, since I've been running good tires, and it, in the long run, saves me a lot of money. These tires cost twice as much, but the tread is so deep that you can drive them like twice as far before they would become legally bald. Like when I was using regular road tires, I used to be throwing them out left and right with half the tread still on them. It's because they would just get damaged in a bad way. Every flat I've had was usually a nail. Actually, always a nail. What I mean by that is sometimes a tire will not be leaking, but it'll be damaged by this shell rock in a way you can't drive it. A chunk of rubber the size of a quarter will get slashed out of it somewhere, and it just throws the whole wheel off balance where they just can't fix it. Or there'll be a mark in the sidewall, which is considered dangerous even though it's not leaking. That's what will happen. Like the tires I'm running on this truck right now, they even have tread on the sidewalls because it's made for sinking deep into mud with sharp rocks. The issues don't occur anymore. Like, I used to change tires like every 6 months because these roads are so bad. I'm actually running these tires for 2 years now. They're running really, really good. No, we're in the second year. It hasn't been 2 years yet. I got these last season. Last year. Equipment on road, that sign says. What are we gonna find up here? I don't think they're working though. That culvert is not working well, and look at all the mud coming down to the work site. All this water gonna wreak havoc on what they're doing. I see a lot more water down there. It's not being too much of a menace, but take a look at this. All the flowing water is up on the road. It's not in the ditch. Look at the ditch. The ditch is like next to it, deep. Nothing's going down there. Going over a bridge, and if I remember correctly, on the other side of this bridge, there's a pointless culvert that doesn't do anything. Oh, I'm seeing a big gush of water coming out of here. Big old gush. The river's actually still frozen upstream. Pretty. Yeah, here it is. There's a culvert right here that seems kind of pointless. They have made it not pointless, though. They built the road up. Before, the road dip here was down further than the pipe. So they raised it up. You can tell this is all new gravel. Nope, the pipe's actually doing okay now. They have done a lot of road work. When I first started filming out in these parts years ago, these roads were a nightmare. Every single year, they're making drastic improvements to the way they build them. of road coming up. Here we go. Big frost heave. I see a lot of water up here trickling down the road. Ooh, squirrel. I don't think these are plowed. This one might be. No, it's not. I know they were logging down there in the fall. I guess they stopped. Only one way to go, and as I was turning, I still have ice building up in the wheel wells. Despite it almost being freezing, it's still, I guess, cold enough. Now this road had a lot of beaver issues. We'll be going through lots of swamps. They've made improvements. They've raised the road up. But let's see what we can find. Around us is vast wilderness filled with beaver families. They can keep relocating them, they can keep hunting them, but they're never gonna stop coming. Wow, look at this. Oh my gosh. Look over there. Oh my gosh. A mama and baby moose over in the clearing. Look at them go. And you can even see the wavy heat. It's pretty warm out there, out in these clearings. Oh, they're looking back. They're looking back. They're way over there. See them? Zoomed in 20 times. All I have is 10 times optical. It's a game changer that these new phones have 10-time optical zoom. That's awesome. It used to be only 1 time. What's good about it is optical zoom means the lens is what's zooming in. Digital zoom pixelates. You don't want that. So this is a brand new logging site. They did this over the winter, and I can see why. It's very swampy. They'd get stuck if they tried this in the summer or even right now. Wide open land. All gone. They usually don't do logging in sites this big. Usually if you look at it overhead, it's like a checkerboard. They'll do a little here, a little here. Clear cuts usually aren't this big. And you see the trees they left standing? Many of those will die because they're not used to all the sunlight. Their roots aren't very deep. When a tree is in a field by itself, the roots are deeper because the field is open and it dries out faster. A lot of these skinny trees they left standing will die. I see 1, maybe 2 thicker ones to the left that will probably live. And that gigantic one out there, that will probably live, 100%. But these skinny ones, the reason they're so skinny is because they're used to being close together. They block the wind together. They can't do that anymore. I don't think they'll fall over, but I do think the sun will bake them if they don't have a good year or 2 of recovery with good rain. Yeah, usually logging is like a checkerboard overhead, or they'll do what's called thinning. Thinning can be done the right way or the wrong way. So thinning, it just looks like a whole bunch of trails and squiggles through the woods. They'll selectively take only certain trees if it's a mixed area. This area is not very diverse. I think everything they left are white pines that they're hoping will thicken up so they can cut them as lumber. Everything they removed, I think, is balsam for pulpwood. Yeah, I don't think many of these will make it, honestly. Unless it's a wet year. So, sometimes they'll thin too much. Like that, you could even argue is called thinning. And then sometimes they'll thin it perfectly. They'll leave like pretty big clumps of trees here and there. I'm just going by what I've seen. I've seen areas like that. We've probably even driven by some today. Everything out in the field is dead. It just got cooked by the sun because it's a shock having all that sun suddenly after growing for decades with shade. It's a shock. But that being said, those open areas, they are a pain in the butt because there's so many sticks everywhere. I've even seen moose run through them. They trip and stuff. But after like 5 years in, berry bushes start growing. All the little twigs start rotting down in the shrubbery. The bears and moose and deer, they actually like when a clearing starts growing with bushes because there's berries everywhere. They'll actually like that. But right now, it's just a dead zone at the moment. But they will likely replant it. It depends. That's more of a controversial subject with logging companies right now. Do we replant or do we let it naturally whatever grow? And the reason is, a lot of this forest is called a monoculture. What that means is, decades ago they planted only what they want. Every tree is exactly the same. And what happens is, if a forest fire comes, it tears through it like crazy. Because these trees... Oh, by the way, the road to the left is where we went camping in the middle of the road one year. And it is plowed. Ooh, we're icing up again. So monocultures, when these trees would naturally grow here, old growth, all the needles are high up. Forest fires are natural to sweep the forest floor. Now, these trees are small. The fire can reach the canopies where it's flammable. There's sap everywhere. The needles are flammable. Out of control forest fires. If an invasive bug comes in that happens to like only that tree, everything's gonna die. If it's a mixed, diverse forest, it'll only target certain trees, and because the same type of trees aren't up on each other, it might not even be able to spread very far. But forests like this, especially with invasive species, they have been proven to have a lot of issues. On the left side of the road, they did thinning. They didn't do very much, but that's probably a good thing. But just look how close together these trees are planted. If this was to be abandoned and eventually allowed to just overgrow for hundreds of years back into old growth, probably more than half of these trees, they have to die out. They're overcrowded, and they overcrowd them to get as much profit as possible out of the land. It's pulpwood. They'll be cutting down trees, some of them that are only as thick as your wrist. That's it. Because they're just so close together. So that's why a lot of logging companies these days, especially in wildfire prone areas like out west, they've started not really planting again. They just let biodiversity take over. Just let whatever wants to grow, and they'll sort it out when they log it. So they were logging this. I don't know about at the moment, but I've never seen this road plowed before. It was not plowed when we went camping. When we went camping, we had to shovel a 3-foot pad into the road, and that was actually cool, because we set up a tent and we actually backfilled some snow against the tent, and it was so insulated. That was like the warmest hot tent camp I ever did. I didn't go hot tent camping this year. Didn't really do it last year either. I did it once. I'm kind of bored with that. I don't really like hot tent camping. I'd rather more camp in abandoned buildings or unusual places. Like we did the Everglades this year. Did a couple winter camps. I want to do something different. I don't want to keep doing the same kind of tent over and over in the same type of woods. At some point, I want to camp out west with trees that are bigger than the car at the base. I want to do that sometime. I don't know how far I'm going to go down this road, but we'll take it for a little bit. It's not in the best shape, but at least it's not mud. It could turn into mud out of nowhere. That's how these roads are this time of year. But they were doing something down here in order for this to be plowed, and I kind of want to see what they were logging. But these trees are a crop. Old growth hasn't been here in a long time. Every tree you see was planted basically by the logging company. I might turn around at this fork. We're starting to sink, actually. The road's starting to get bad here. I see some fresh gravel here at the intersection. To the right, there's a snow bank. They were not going down there, but I do see ribbons. They plan on doing stuff down there soon. And we're also not going down here because this is a log skid trail. I don't even think that's, well, yeah, they plowed it. That was a logging road, but that's a mud hole. I'm not going down there. That might just be the back end of that massive clearing. Driving over nothing but shale rock right now. Even off-road tires, it will take little, like if you look at it, there'll be like tiny little microscopic cuts everywhere. But they're just superficial. It's not really hurting anything. Temperature went down a little bit coming out here. The wilderness is always colder in the shaded areas, and overall the entire wilderness is colder than the weather forecast, which is predicted in the nearest town or city. Buildings create heat, rooftops, pavement, just wide open grassy areas even make it warmer. You need shade. It's unfortunate that a lot of towns and cities are banning planting trees near the road. There's certain trees that'll cause damage to the pavement, but they should know what you can and can't plant. Some trees don't do that. They just don't want to hire more people to unclog all the drains in the fall. I think sometimes you'll drive through these beautiful shaded areas. They'll have like oak trees or something. They must be over 100 years old, but you can tell they planted them in these really old neighborhoods, and it's just beautiful. It's so shaded. Even on the hottest summer day, it gives you relief. There's no sun beating down on the asphalt. It makes the whole area cooler by a couple degrees. It's nice. But you never see neighborhoods being planted like that anymore, unless it's a specific neighborhood where it's not a public road, where the HOA actually likes the trees and they plant them. Like, trees can be a pain in the butt. These trees you see here are called balsam fir. They're weak. They fall over all the time in the wind. They have shallow roots. They uproot really fast. If there's a drought, they die really fast. I cut down every single one that was capable of hitting my house in a storm. But yeah, I still had some fall on the power lines about a week ago. Because I didn't cut them down along the driveway. I don't really care about that. I'm not even responsible for the power lines. If one hits the power line, I just got to make a phone call and the power company will come out and do it. Every power company I've dealt with has been really, really good with that. Because most power companies, maybe the little private ones like Maine, if you look at an electric grid here, there's got to be a dozen different power companies. Some are tiny. They only supply like maybe 1 or 2 towns because it's like a hydroelectric dam. Then you have Maine Central Power, which takes up the majority of the state. I don't know about the little ones. Your electric bill every month is supposed to pay for the maintenance. So if a tree falls on it, they're supposed to fix it. Small companies, their policy might be different, but if you build a house that's deep in the woods and you have to put in like a dozen poles going down to it, you got to pay for that out of pocket. But once you pay for it, it's now their responsibility to maintain it. wow, I ran over the snowbank earlier, I didn't even feel this big bump. Yeah, it's not even that bad. Yeah, so if anything gets damaged, if the poles get broken by a tree, anything, they got to repair it once you make the initial investment. And what's cool about that is if you have a private road and you have poles put all the way down it, that's expensive. Each pole is like $6,000. And then the wire is a couple dollars a foot. If you're the one who paid for that, if anyone else wants to build a house on that road and tap into it, they have to pay you something. That's pretty cool. I know some people that live in very rural spots that they have situations like that. Like if someone wants to tap into it, they got to refund you half that price or rent the lines from you, but they'll usually pay an upfront price so they don't have to rent them from you. Something like that. I just mentioned that the power company was good, but on the other hand, my internet provider is Spectrum. They are helpful and not helpful at the same time. Let me explain. I had the power lines get snapped along with my cable line. I don't have TV or anything. I just use the fiber cable for internet, high-speed internet, right? So here's what happened. It broke. I called them up, they came out a couple days later, put the line back up, they refunded me for a week of service in full. They basically gave me back a quarter of my electric bill as a credit. That was nice of them. Then when the guy actually was done fixing it, he was like, you realize you're paying for gig speed internet, but your modem, your router, is only capable of 400 megabytes. And he told me, if I were you, I would contact the company because you've been paying for something. They should give you a credit. They owe you money because they didn't even give you the right equipment for what you're paying for. I call them, and they tell me they're going to refund me for like half of the price of that year because I haven't been able to use it properly. I didn't even know that. It was already fast. So they tell me they're going to refund me. It's now a week later. They never refunded me, and the guy on the phone is like, oh, we're not going to refund you. I could give you maybe a $10 credit, or I could put you back onto promotion like you're a new customer and you'll pay like $70 instead of $120 a month. And I'm like, no, that's not good enough. It's literally not good enough because I have a $120 a month bill, and I basically have been getting the internet from back when I had worse internet. I used to pay $50 a month until I needed the better speed for uploading 4K, and I haven't been getting it. So no, that's not good enough. I've been paying double price for nothing. So I don't like that about them. I'm gonna press them a few more times. Ooh, first vehicle of the day. Someone coming. Been out here all day since 9 in the morning. We haven't passed a single other person. I passed vehicles that were parked with trailers. They're out playing with ATVs or maybe snowmobiles, trying to salvage a little bit of the season they have left on some of the snow-covered roads. We saw vehicles parked around doing some kind of recreation, camping, fishing, who knows what they're doing. But this is the first actual human that we'll see today. saw more moose than people today. I saw 3 moose today. Other than that, I saw a ton of squirrels. I always see deer tracks, but I never see the deer. We got another flood. Look at that. Not really much of a car wash. In fact, a lot of that's just going to freeze to the doors. Here we go again. This one's got a lot of potholes, so I'm not going to speed up at all. Gonna get new wiper blades this week. I still have free service that I never used when I bought the truck. The reason I didn't use it is because the Toyota dealership actually made me very angry by stripping out the oil plug on my other car. So I haven't been back there in a while. But I'm only going because I have like 5 engine air filters, I have 5 pairs of wipers, I have 5 cabin air filters, I have a couple oil changes left, a bunch of service I never use, so I'm just gonna go collect a bunch of free stuff because I need a bunch of things at the moment, so I'm just gonna have them do it. But at least the manager at the Toyota dealership's always nice, because the times that they have actually knowingly ripped me off, I get that guy involved and they just refund it, or I don't have to pay anything. I'm trying to think back. They did something to me, but I forget what it is. I know I mentioned it before in other vlogs. They've done something, but I didn't have to pay for it. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was some unnecessary service that they thought I was stupid enough to accept. I'm trying to think what they tried to get me on. I know one time they tried to charge me $1,000 to replace a plastic skid plate that was falling off. It wasn't broken, it just needed maybe a couple dollars worth of plastic pins. I fixed it myself. But I didn't get charged for that because they didn't do anything. Oh yeah, no, this isn't something they did and tried to charge me, but I ended up going somewhere else. They told me I was going to fail my inspection if I didn't replace my oil pan, which had a dent. So I just went somewhere else and I passed my state inspection. Because the dent doesn't matter, that's been there for years. They're saying, oh, your engine's not going to get proper oil circulation. Well, how's that a safety issue for the road? It's not. They're just messing with me. And I see another truck up there we're actually catching up on right now. So yeah, that was another issue. So I wonder if they got pissed and intentionally stripped out that oil plug to try to get me to replace it. And they didn't get the job. I went to my trusted mechanic instead. Dealer no longer gets any serious work from me unless it's something that they literally have to do, like transmission oil changes. Most private shops can't do that because it needs a computer to measure it out, supposedly. But they're so incompetent. I brought this truck to get a transmission fluid change. I'm supposed to do it every 30,000 miles, the manual says, but I think we're actually due for another one soon. So I brought it there. I had an appointment. They didn't have the key to get the catalytic converter guard off, which is factory, which was also blocking the transmission drain plug. They couldn't get it off. A Toyota dealership doesn't have the factory catalytic converter lock key. That's ridiculous. They had to order one and I had to go back the next week. It's ridiculous. We're gaining on somebody. There's somebody way up there. This section of road is actually very dry for being surrounded by swamps. They built it up very well. Looks like a guy with a flatbed and an ATV. That's what it looks like in front of me. That used to be an issue, but they have built the road up nicely since. No more beavers in this area. They're all gone. This guy's going a speed, like the perfect speed that makes me question, should I try to pass or should I just stay here? Because he's just going to pass me again if I want to step out and show something up here. If he happens to pull over, I'll go around, but oh, he is pulling over. There we go. Wave as we go by. Out here, it is common courtesy if someone's coming up behind you, just pull over. I always hate when there's someone in front of me going extremely slow. Not that guy. There's people that go extremely, extremely slow, and that's your own thing. If you want to go really slow to not get a broken shock, that's completely understandable, but don't hold up traffic. Every now and then you'll get someone out here who's extremely entitled, who will actually block you from passing. I don't think they understand the rules of the road. There's no double line out here. It's usually an out-of-state plate that pulls that. It's a tourist that has no idea what the rules of the dirt roads are. Yeah, we've been stuck behind certain people for quite a while before I'd have done that. But it's been a while since we've seen someone do that. That's usually a summertime incident. And those people don't seem to come out this deep either. Not really. Oh, but in the summer it's even worse, because if you have someone going slow like that, they're creating just a massive dust storm. And you just cannot get around them. These road conditions are perfect. We're not creating dust. It's nice and damp. It doesn't have to be hot out. Even in the winter, you can have dust storms if it's dry. this one guy out here who pulled up and tried talking to me. I thought he wanted directions or something. He must be from the city. He had New York plates. That's where most of them people live, in the city part. But the guy didn't pull up for instructions or anything. He only pulled up to complain about the road conditions and how he's getting his precious car all muddy. Well, I didn't say it to his face, but you know, it's his fault. He drove out on the dirt roads. What does he expect? It's literally his own fault. I love the dirt roads. I love the mud. I love the puddles. These roads are fun. If you don't want to be out on the off-road, you shouldn't have brought his car out here. I think that's hilarious. As a kid coming out to campgrounds out here with my grandfather, he was friends with the campground owner, and he would always have city people that were renting camping spots that would complain about the road he doesn't own, complain about potholes and mud. Hey, his campground is down a logging road, but he has nothing to do with the road. In fact, he probably likes the road conditions. And I'm pretty sure most people who live out here wouldn't have it any other way. They don't want pavement. We love this kind of stuff. Some people just won't ever understand that some people enjoy these rough roads. It's fun. And there's even been a few incidents I've seen over the years. People that are completely clueless, but then there's other people who have actually a bit of skill. I've seen people get surprisingly deep in these roads during worse mud season than this with a small two-wheel drive car, and that actually takes a massive amount of skill. Anyone can drive a truck deep out here, but a truck or a small vehicle that's not four-wheel drive, that's actually skill in bad conditions getting it out here. But then there's an incident that I'll always remember and laugh at. This Prius that smashed its plastic oil pan on a rock and kept driving deeper into the woods, just oblivious to that they just lost all their oil. Oblivious because they must have had warning lights flashing, low oil, overheating. They had to have had something going off on the dashboard. But they kept coming out, and the tow truck that went to get that guy even blew a flat tire. Hopefully that guy had to pay for the tow truck's tire too. That was funny. But there is a reason that you see out here probably 95% of vehicles are trucks. What you're seeing today, these aren't the best road conditions, but this is actually very good. This is the best road condition I have ever seen these in for this time of year. In the summer, these roads, the frost heaves will be gone. It'll start to dry up. You can literally sometimes go 55 or faster miles an hour on these roads, but there's going to be a dust storm, but at least it's smooth. During extreme droughts, the dust will get so extreme that there's like an inch of silt on the top of the road. The dust storms are so bad, you gotta pull over for like 5 minutes every time a big rig goes by. Okay, plastic culvert ruined. Another plastic culvert ruined. That one has damage to the end of it. That one seems to be working okay. That's a bad area, but I don't see any beaver evidence. Ooh, they come out of nowhere. You heard snow. The wheel just hit the ice building up in the wheel well. Look at the erosion cracks. It's slowly slipping into that ditch. Yeah, sometimes they come out of nowhere. You can't tell if it's just a wet mark or a hole until you get right up on it. Another reason I'm not going to go extremely, extremely fast. Got high water here, and we We got a bridge coming up. This area is extremely beautiful in the fall. These are tamarack trees. The only type of pine tree around here that loses its needles for the winter and regrows them in the spring. Ooh, we have a lot of water building up there. There's a bridge coming up. We'll look at that in a minute. I was saying, this road is beautiful. Those trees turn bright yellow when they lose their needles. We see a culvert here. I thought it had a blockage. It looks like just one measly stick in front of it. Not beaver related. But I have to grab it. I've got to grab it. The preventative maintenance in me. Gotta get it out of here. Okay, we're good. Continue time. Water was crossing here. I can see a bit of erosion. I should have came out here last week when it was super warm. Instead, I was at home making maple syrup. I love the tamarack trees. They like a lot of water. They'll grow in swampy areas. They can even be flooded for a while without dying. Just looking at water levels. Sometimes there's a beaver dam under this bridge. I don't think there is right now. The shaded part of the woods has a lot more snow. Look at that. This part of the road is, wow, it's perfect. I could go the speed limit, but I'm a little weary of frost heaves around the corners. There was a little one. Temperature's back up though. Still below freezing. Okay, now we're getting into some mud that's a little slippery. Reducing speed. Ooh, look at the water in the road. It's being diverted out of the drainage ditch. That ditch needs to be dug deeper with an excavator. And it looks like it's probably because the culvert under that abandoned road is plugged. That one was gradual. I see logs coming up. Is that what that is? Another big log pile. cause moisture issues when you see that crack in the road. Look at all those beautiful logs. These heavy trucks are beating up this plastic culvert pipe. Why is the culvert pipe so high? The water's nowhere even near to using that. I don't think anyone's around. That shiny thing there, the chrome on the truck. Yeah, no one's around today. Section of road too. It's rocky. This area is notorious for potholes, but it doesn't seem to ever get soft. They built it good. More tamarack. Tamarack loves water. Just like willow trees. Willow trees are those scraggly ones that grow in the drainage ditches. The beaver's favorite food. And they grow really fast. They usually grow more like a bush because the beaver will cut it down. It'll grow a bunch of suckers back. The beaver chops it again. Look at all those ground cracks. That can also cause damage to your house's foundation if you built it in an area that's not drained. I've been inside abandoned houses up here. Like, if you're heating your house, the foundation's warm. Snow probably won't fall next to it, and that's actually a good thing. It has a little buffer zone. I've been in abandoned houses that the frost heaving will crack and push one of the foundation walls in. Specifically the A-frame. I have a video titled Exploring Abandoned Northern A-frame. The whole basement wall is pushed in. It's like a $10,000 fix minimum. That's an expensive job. That house was such a piece of garbage. It only had like, I think, 2 acres, and they wanted so much money for that abandoned house. It was ridiculous. 2-acre house. You're probably better off demolishing it and rebuilding it for what it would cost to fix. 2 acres. I think it's because it had maybe a good view. Because I know up here in northern Maine, you can buy land anywhere from $500 to $2,000 an acre. It's ridiculous what some places charge. The populated areas charge a lot. That wasn't even a populated area where that house existed. It had no neighbors. It's still standing there abandoned. I think someone bought it, or at the very least it was taken off the market. Because there was a sign in the front yard. They were selling that for, I think, did I just say the price? 128 grand, I think it's what it said. It's a lot for 2 acres and a hazardous asbestos mold house you have to demolish. That's why it's still abandoned. No one wants to deal with it. Just like that abandoned prison that I've camped in. It's for sale, $400,000, which is more like 300,000 American. It is destroyed. Imagine the environmental fees to demolish that. There's so much asbestos. There's probably asbestos in the concrete, in the tiles. It's not even just the insulation. It's a nightmare, and it's brick. It's heavy. Landfills charge by the weight. And where it is, I don't know how easy it would be to get a permit to just bulldoze it into a massive hole. I don't know what it would cost. I know some areas they'll let you just bulldoze it into a hole on a rainy day. I don't think they'll let you do it up there in Ontario. I don't think they would allow that. But there's always a catch to land with a cheap price tag. It's either got liens on it, unpaid taxes, a hazardous building. Oh, that building also had a major oil spill in the basement that would have to be dealt with. Thousands of gallons of fuel spilled and sunk into the ground under the basement. There's remediation companies which would rip up the floor, dig out a certain amount of it. Legally, you're allowed to leave a certain amount of contamination as long as it's not too high on the charts. But still, that amount of fuel, you're probably looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars in cleanup. No one's ever going to buy that place unless you were giving it away. Maybe someone would take care of it. It's government owned. They should just clean it up and then try selling it. Those logs there get lost in the snowpack when they took the pile. Those logs looked okay. Well, I think we're going to end the video here. But I hope this vlog was interesting, everyone. Thank you for sticking to the end, and have a great day. A lot more snow here in the shaded woods.